Change is inevitable. How we deal with the stress of it is up to us. I'm lying on a hospital gurney in a parking lot outside of an emergency room. I have a cut over my forehead. Tears are streaming down my face into my ears, pooling. My heart is beating outside my chest, and my breath is coming erratically. I look down at my hands, and they're shaking and sweating, and as I place them on my 7.5-month-old pregnant belly, I realize I'm worried. And I say to my unborn son, don't get any ideas. It's not time to come out yet. And I have the presence of mind to surround him with a protective glow of white light, just as the EMTs race me crashing through the ER doors. A flurry of activity. They start screaming, woman, car accident, early labor, water broken, and the doctors and nurses grab me on a count of 3 off the gurney onto a hospital bed. An ER doctor and nurse start to put an IV. They start to put a respiratory thing on me. All this is happening all at once, and all of a sudden, George Clooney takes a stethoscope and places it on my belly. And I'm stressed. And I realize my son is stressed, and he goes into a Braxton Hicks-like contraction, and all of a sudden, I see him roll from one side of my torso all the way to the other, sending George Clooney 10 feet back, yelling, what the F expletive was that? And I looked at him rather sheepishly and I said, a baby? And he said, oh wait, you're pregnant? And I said, yes, what did you think? And he said, oh, I thought you were just wearing a pad. And just then the director yells, and cut. And all the stagehands rush back. The first AD says, back to 1. And yes, this was the 5th episode of a new series called ER, and nobody had an idea of what a runaway hit they were going to be yet. Now, I had 2 things that I took away from this experience. One was that George Clooney was going to be a star, and the other was that my mind didn't know the difference between a real or an imagined circumstance, and my body responded accordingly with stress. Now, most of us, we don't actually experience stress in the current moment. It's usually caused by worry or anxiety about an unyet foreseen event that we're afraid might happen or might not happen in the future, or we're living in past regret, reliving something that has already happened. Now, the top 10 stressors in life, according to the internet, are death of a loved one, moving, a new job, remodeling a home, divorce. Sometimes remodeling a home and divorce go hand in hand. Illness, family or relationship problems, pregnancy, finances, and infertility. Well, I had no idea how stressful infertility was until about 2 years after that ER episode, and I had already gone through a yoga teacher training program when I experienced secondary infertility after my son was born. You see, I had just gotten a job as a murderous socialite, and I had the brilliant idea that I should get really thin for this role. Unknowingly too thin. Not only did I lose weight, but I also lost my period. Now, luckily, as a yoga teacher, I had tools, and so I started to research in depth what poses help the reproductive systems right themselves, what poses help to balance the hormones, and I went to work on myself. And with a very short matter of time, I actually got my hormones back on track and started menstruating and ovulating again. And it was around this time that I got invited to be part of something called the Mind-Body Institute at UCLA, working with couples and women who were going through unexplained infertility. Now, most REs, reproductive endocrinologists, won't admit that stress causes infertility, but I can tell you undeniably that infertility causes stress. These women were being challenged more than any other time in their life. They were challenged mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, But the thing that I found during the course of working with them, and this was a godsend for me because not only was I going through infertility, but I got to help others going through it. And it was a mutual help. So I got to see which techniques worked best for them. And the thing that they had the hardest time with was living with uncertainty. They didn't know when they were going to get pregnant, how they were going to get pregnant, or even if they were going to get pregnant. And it was that stress of the uncertainty that caused them the greatest anxiety. Now, the truth is, we all like to be in control, right? None of us like to feel out of control. For instance, I'm sure sitting in that seat, you feel like you're pretty much in control, right? You know where you are. Well, what if I reframe that for you? What if I told you that that seat in that theater that you're sitting in is on a planet that is hurling through space at radical speeds in an expanding universe? All of a sudden, you might be feeling a little less stable, right? Well, there's a book by a psychologist from Stanford, Kelly Mcgonigal, called The Upside of Stress. And it is her treatise that stress is actually good for us, that it's nature's way of getting us to rise to the occasion, that it's an opportunity for us to learn and grow, and it's reframing stress that allows us to meet the challenges in life. And so I started thinking about this with my women, and what they felt most was that they were out of control, that this was against them, that it was without their permission that this was happening. And once we were able to reframe that this experience was actually for them, for their growth, for their ability to manage stress, and God knows it would make them better parents in the long run if they learned how to manage their stress, they started to relax. And I had given them a stress questionnaire when they came in, and on a scale of 1 to 10, most of them were in the 8 to 10 marker. By the time they completed my 4 weeks for fertility course, they were all in the 2 to 3 marker, because they felt like they could be present with what was. They didn't have to go to the future. They didn't have to go to the past to regret an abortion or a possible choice they had made early in their life. They could be present with what they were feeling, even if it was uncertain. My mom, in her brilliance, once said, life is like a yo-yo. It goes up, it goes down. It just keeps changing. And you can either go on the emotional ride with that yo-yo when good things happen or bad things happen, or you can learn to be the finger holding the string. And when these women had that paradigm shift, they became the finger holding the string. And the one key that I found that helped them stay present and not go into the future worry was something that you're doing right now that you may not even be aware of, and that's breathing, right? We're doing it 24 hours a day, but we're not really thinking about it. It's just happening to us. It's actually part of the sympathetic nervous system, just like digestion or circulation or any of our other organ function. But when we get afraid or we're in a stress response, we go into fight or flight. And what happens is we do one of two things with our breath. We either hold it or we start breathing rapidly, like I did on the gurney. Now, as an actress, I knew if I started breathing rapidly, my body would respond and my emotions would respond. So it occurred to me that the opposite is most likely true. So if we're in a stress response, couldn't we slow the breath down in order to feel more in control? And the truth was, that was the gift that gave these women the opportunity to lay in the cold, kind of sterile environments in hospital rooms, not with their husbands. They were off in another room. It allowed them to breathe, be in their bodies, be present, and receive, because they were no longer in stress. They trusted that this was for them. So I want to give you a little takeaway today. Many of you, it's LA after all, probably have gone to a yoga class. Many of you perhaps haven't. But this is called the breath of victory. And my feeling is all of us experience stress, whether it's driving in the car or when we get a letter from the IRS, whatever it is that sends us into a stress response, this breath is key. So first of all, just notice that you're sitting there. Uncross your legs if they're crossed. Put them flat on the floor. Scoot your seat back. And just feel your body. Notice your belly. We as women, we hold our bellies in all the time. I was in the Miss America pageant. I'm telling you, getting that belly to get soft is a hard thing. So just for a moment, put your mind's eye in your belly and soften it so you can reach the breath all the way down. Good. Now, take your hand in front of your face as if you're going to be blowing out a candle. Take a deep breath in. Blow on your hand. Notice the temperature of the breath. It's kind of cool, right? Okay, do it again, but bring the hand a little closer to you. And this time, blow on your hand with the HA sound in the back of your throat like you're fogging up a pair of glasses to clean them. Deep breath in. Can you feel how much warmer your breath is? So what's happening is you're getting a constriction in the back of your throat where the epiglottis is. Now, you don't need to know where your epiglottis is. Just know that when you say, it happens. Now, this breath kind of sounds like Darth Vader or the sound of the ocean. And it's in and out of the nose only because that's what helps to purify the body of toxins. When we do this breath of victory, it's called Ujjayi in Sanskrit, we actually use 100% of our lung capacity. Most of us on a day-to-day basis, like when you were sitting before we just did that, only are using maybe a fourth of your lung capacity. When we use 100%, we get all that oxygen to our brain, to our blood, and to our cells, and we heal the body from the inside out because the lungs are the largest organ for detoxification in the body. You might feel a little dizzy after this. Don't worry, it's normal. So take a deep breath in for me through your nose, and as you exhale, just drop your jaw and say, doesn't that feel good? Deep breath in through your nose. Good, last time. Deep breath in through your nose. This time when you say, close your mouth halfway through. Close your eyes now. Deep breath in through your nose. Try to make that same HA sound in your throat, but as you exhale, keep your mouth closed. Good, I can hear it. Listen for your neighbor. Inhale through your nose. Try to make that same HA sound. And exhale through your nose. Think HA in the back of your throat. One more time. Inhale through your nose. Hold the breath at the top. Expand your chest. And then as you exhale, relax your face, your jaw, your chest, your hips, and all the way down into your feet. Good. Just notice how you feel. Relaxed, right. So open your eyes. And just know that whether you do this breath for 1 minute, 5 minutes, a half hour, you can actually arrest the stress response and go from fight or flight into what we call the relaxation response, where the body can heal itself, where we can digest and the organs have a chance to rest. So please take this with you today and just know that you have the power to change. Because change is inevitable, but with certain tools, stress can be transformed into the opportunity to learn and grow. This is the upside of stress. Thank you.